Samuel Johnson once said, "The true measure of a man is how he treats someone who can do him absolutely no good." Imagine an innocent man that was just looking out for the people in his community that he truly cared about, and is now on trial for a heinous crime. Today we stand here defending our client, the giver, who is being wrongfully accused of releasing memories in the community. Our client is indeed innocent, and here's why. My client, the giver, has received his first ever receiver of memory, Rosemary. He decided to give her all good memories, and he didn't think she was ready for bad memories. Rosemary decided that she was indeed ready and wanted the bad memories. The giver soon realized that he did have to do his job and gave her bad memories. So he did, and gave her the memory of loneliness. Soon after, Rosemary realized that she wasn't strong enough to take on the job and applied for release. When she got released, all of her memories got released into the community. The community was ballistic and their daily schedule soon became unbalanced. Sadly, the giver did, in fact, not help them and help them cope with it. But his daughter just got released to elsewhere where he won't be able to see her for a long time. He needed time to grieve. Wouldn't you be upset as well? I think yes, which leads me to my next topic. After everyone had removed Rosemary's failure from their lives, Jonas had been selected to be the new receiver of memory. Jonas fit all the qualities to be chosen. Very soon he started his training. Jonas started receiving memories and managed to create a strong bond between him and the giver. A year later, the giver and Jonas had decided to come up with a plan to release all the memories to the community. They both thought that the community would be better off with having memories. They thought by releasing the memories, we're doing it in the best interest of the community. They planned for Jonas to leave the community instead of releasing himself. The night of the plan had come and plans changed. Jonas decided to break more laws than he had to. He took Gabe, he took his dad's bike, gave memories to Gabe. He even went as far as
Do you believe that an innocent girl should be accused of something that she would never intentionally do? Members of the jury, the reason we are here today is to uncover who really released the memories, and because of this, the wrong person is being accused. We are here today to prove that Rosemary, a young, smart, bright kid, was nothing but innocent. As a matter of fact, she was very enthusiastic and eager to learn all these new memories. However, she received a memory that was extremely impactful to her. What would you do if this was your first encounter with pain? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I'm Anil Mershan, and our client, Rosemary, is being wrongfully accused for the crime of releasing the memories to the community. To start off, it began with the same routine as the other memories. The giver would pass a memory and later on have a talk. For 5 weeks, the giver would only give Rosemary the best memories, happy and joyful ones, the ones people would love to experience. But one day, out of nowhere, he gave her a very touching feeling, the feeling of loneliness. Although it did not hurt her physically, it hurt her mentally and emotionally. This particular memory was very hard to take in. She did not know how to cope with it. No one would have. The memory made her feel so broken inside that she felt the best solution was to apply for release.
Rosemary did what she was told. She enhanced the memories one by one, contributed to her lessons, and paid attention. It was going to be it was going perfectly, but like all stories, all happy endings come to an end. This memory was so different from others. It left her both scarred and shocked. It's not only how long he took, but the type of memory she was given. Emotional mental pain is more damaging than physical, but compared to Jonas, he healed like that. But when it came to Rosemary, it was too much. She wasn't used to emotion. No one was. They didn't know how it felt to love somebody, to feel pain or feel regret. So tell me how she was supposed to respond. Loss is not easy, and nothing will ever be easy. What this young girl went through was not easy. Yes, she chose to be released, but did she know what that meant?
May it please the court and you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is a story about sameness, secrets, and lies. They were upon everyone in the community. It took one person to make a difference, for everyone to, to let everyone know what life is actually like, what reality is, and how we can live our life as we were meant to. Our client, Jonas, is a warm hearted person who thinks in everyone and not only himself. Jonas was also a very bright, brave kid who was able to hold in memories for longer than the last receiver, Rosemary. You might think that Jonas is guilty for releasing memories, but if you only knew why, then we would not be here right now. We are the legal defending team, Guevara, and
Takuri.
defending Jonas. One day during training, the giver showed Jonas a video of what release actually meant and was. The giver explained to Jonas that it meant to be killed, but since no one in the community actually knew what death and loss are, they did not understand release. After that, the giver gave Jonas the idea to break many community rules and escape so that when he meets elsewhere, the memories will be released. The giver planned this because he too was upset that both Jonas and he had to suffer and live reality in a different matter. Once Jonas found out what was going to be done to Gabriel, he decided to protect him and run away immediately, while the rest of the community went on living their lie-filled lives and never knowing the truth about what living actually means. The evidence shows that whose fault it was, the giver. If the giver hadn't said that he had an idea, that then Jonas wouldn't have accepted because he wouldn't have. The giver states.
You mentioned that Jonas was trying to protect his brother. However, he risked the whole community's emotions and feelings just for one person.
Like we said, everyone in the community was, their lives were full of lies. They didn't know what reality actually was. So, yeah, I guess.
Jonas, he did risk the whole community, but Rosemary did the same. And even though she asked to be released, though she did the same thing that Jonas did. And when Jonas did it to save Gabriel, it wasn't his fault that he caught feelings because that's what he was supposed to be feeling since he was a receiver of memory.
To start off, Rosemary only had 5 weeks worth of memories, unlike Jonas, who had a year worth of memories. So obviously, if Jonas was released, his memories would be much more impactful to the community rather than the memories Rosemary had. Rosemary didn't break any rules, unlike Jonas, who broke 3 rules. He ran away, he kidnapped, and he stole food. Rosemary just applied for release, and back then, release was allowed.
Like you said, Rosemary only lasted 5 weeks. Jonas made it through 1 whole year of training, which was very difficult for him. And you also mentioned that that he stole food. So did the giver. The giver helped him collect food for 2 weeks.
Rosemary only lasted for 5 weeks because the giver dropped the memory, a bad memory like that. But compared to Jonas, he had a year all happy, and then he got a bad memory after a year, compared to Rosemary at 5 weeks. So that wasn't really fair.
Sorry. You said Jonas did experience very harsh memories, and I totally agree. But Rosemary also did experience bad memories. If you compare Jonas's first bad memory, it was a sunburn, and compare Rosemary's, it was the feeling of loneliness. So how are you gonna compare a feeling of physical pain to a feeling of emotional and mental pain?
I like you said, she did experience bad memories, but how are you gonna prepare someone for a mental memory? You can't like easily prepare someone for a mental memory.
The giver could have started by giving her something less harsh, like, I don't know, a scratch, and then work its way up. But he didn't.
Scratch is also physical pain because that physically hurts you. That's not mental pain like anger and loneliness. That's physical pain.
How are you going to give a person who hasn't experienced any feelings ever in their life and has only been training for 5 weeks the memory of loneliness when they haven't felt even a paper cut, a sunburn, or any physical or mental pain? Why start off with such a harsh and impactful memory?
Like you said, Rosemary got the memory of loneliness, but Jonas got a memory of war. How does that compare to loneliness?
Well, to start off, his first memory wasn't the war one. His first memory was the sunburn one. So that was physical. So at least he was prepared for some sort of bad memory.
So you're saying the giver didn't prepare them both.
I'm saying that he didn't prepare Rosemary correct because if he was to prepare Rosemary correctly, he would have gradually started giving her smaller and like bad memories to her and gradually grow up and give her worse ones. But he just started off with a boom and gave her a very impactful memory.
He was obviously like the parent of Rosemary. He didn't want to see his daughter in physical pain. I don't think any parent would want to see their child like suffering from an injury.
Okay, so then the giver failed there because he was putting family into his job. So since he was like his daughter, he didn't want her to feel bad. But since it was Jonas, he was giving her like nice memories and then gave him like also bad ones. And also Jonas wouldn't want wouldn't have wanted to wouldn't have wanted to release the memories or run away if it weren't because the giver had access to the videos and he showed him the videos. If the giver never told him that he had the videos, then Jonas would have never like watched them and want to run away or like yeah.
Um, well, first of all, Jonas wanted to see the video. Like he asked the giver, I want to know what release is, and then he showed him it. So that wasn't his fault if Jonas wanted to see what release was.
And also, he had to kind of take Rosemary, like, I guess, into his job because it was his job to train her to be the new receiver of memory.
If it was his job to train her, he would have treated her and given her also harsh memories. Like slowly, like given her harsh memories and like train her, like they said. So that way she wouldn't like have wanted to be released.
She was eventually going to get the painful memories, so she should have. Wait,
Rosemary asked for the memories. Like she kept asking and kept wanting, and then he did, and then she saw that it affected Rosemary, and then he backed off. He said he backed off and gave her a happier memory because he saw that it really affected her.
Okay, Rosemary kept on asking the giver, but if the giver would have given her the bad memories in the first place, she wouldn't have had asked for them. If anything, he was supposed to give them to her, and she didn't have to ask because she's the one receiving them. She's not the one giving them. She eventually, you're correct. Eventually, she would have had to receive a bad memory. But why start off with such a harsh one?
I mean, like we said, like she would have gotten the memory eventually, and anyways, like what would be a small um mental pain like you said a cut, but a cut is physical pain, and then even okay, even if we waited longer, she would have kept getting more baby, and it would have been even worse because even more memories would have got released because if we waited longer, she would have got babied longer, and then even more memories would have got released into the community.
The one who babied her was the giver because the giver gave he didn't give her any bad memories to start off with. He only started with 5 weeks of good memories and then gave her